A very good evening to you and welcome. It's Thursday, 29th August 2024. Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. On the news this evening, NLC calls off protest after confirming release of national president. Commuters in Port Harcourt stranded amid sudden shortage of commercial vehicles. Winner emerges in first edition of Nigeria Info FM's national debate. Consumer Protection Agency issues ultimatum for traders to reduce prices. On the foreign scene, typhoon kills 4, injures 90 others as Japan raises highest alert level. I am Constance Mega with the news. We'll go on a short commercial break, and when we return, the news continues. Stay tuned. And now the news in detail. The chairman of Nigeria Labour Congress in Rivers State, Alex Agwanwo, says the union will not continue its protest because their national president, Joe Ajero, was not detained by the police in Abuja. Mr. Agwanwo spoke to correspondent Soibi Oruwari shortly after the union protested to the state police headquarters along Moscow Road and the government house in Port Harcourt today.
We want to thank you for receiving us. We want to thank the IG, the city Rivers State, for also welcoming us and also allowing us to live. For not detaining us. We want to thank for not detaining our Comrade. We will go back. As he has gone back, we are going back. We are sharing the grace here. We are going. You should not come and arrest him again. So
Mr. Agwanwo said the union leaders would have presented themselves for a debate if the national president had been held by the police.
The purpose of this procession, why we came here, we want to be detained if Ajero is detained. And if we are detained by tomorrow, we are going to withdraw all our members for every sector.
Nationwide.
All workers in Rivers State, Nigeria, we will withdraw all their services. If there was any detention regards to this. We will thank God for your understanding. We will go back and we'll go back to our work. Yes.
Meanwhile, the NLC president, Joe Ajero, says the union will not be intimidated by external pressures. Mr. Ajero spoke at the Labour House in Abuja shortly after he honored the invitation of the police over terrorism and other allegations against him. But Mr. Ajero said the allegation is baseless.
The labor movement is worth dying for because of the patriotism and commitment. Labor movement is one of the biggest pan-Nigerian organizations. Our patriotism from the days of colonial government to even the period of the military is unshakable. We are more patriotic than any other institution you can think of in this country. And we are going to continue to do that. We have gone there and we are back. I just want to confirm to you that as a citizen, I've gone there and we are back here.
Moving on now, a public affairs analyst, Jackson Oko, has expressed doubt about the PDP's ability to take over power from the ruling APC in 2027. While speaking with our correspondent, Mr. Oko highlighted deep divisions within the PDP, noting that some leaders are undermining the party's interests for personal gain. He also pointed out a lack of internal discipline among members, which he says is negatively impacting the party's performance.
From each of the states of the federation, PDP is highly divided. When the party leadership is being controlled by pecuniary reasons, they will not be able to call to order the any members. What do they mean by anti-party? When you are a member of a particular political party and you are openly supporting the aspiration of a member, an aspirant or candidate of another political party, and those people are not disciplined,
the Victor Oko Jumbo-led Rivers State House of Assembly has invited Lawrence Oko Jaja and 7 others for screening and confirmation as chairman and members of the State Bureau of Public Procurement. In a letter signed by the clerk of the House, GM Gillis West, the nominees are to be screened tomorrow by 10 a.m. at the Chamber of the State House of Assembly Auditorium, Government House, Port Harcourt. The leader of the Simplified Movement in Ward 16, Obiakpo, Frederick Ihuigwe, has denied reports that Governor Siminalayi Fubara has zoned the chairmanship of Obiakpo local government area to the Akpo Kingdom for the 5th October elections. In an interview with our correspondent, Mr. Ihuigwe, a member of the Obiakpo CTC, stressed that the priority should be to choose a candidate who can build broad support for Governor Fubara, regardless of their background. Well, he emphasized that Obiakpo is a complex local government and needs a chairman with capacity who can deliver on the dividends of democracy in line with the governor's vision.
There was nothing like governor zoning chairmanship position to any kingdom in Obiakpo for now. If there is, I think the information will be passed to us through Chief Ambassador Chijioke Ihunwo, the executive chairman of Obiakpo. The interest of the people of Obiakpo and Akpo Kingdom. Let's galvanize support for the governor of Rivers State. That should be our primary concern. First, let's forget about you have interest to become chairman, to become whatsoever you want. Let's learn how to absorb our interests and focus on giving support for the governor.
Well, Mr. Ihuigwe also accused some chairmanship aspirants in Obiakpo of collaborating with the FCT minister to undermine the interests of the Simplified Movement.
Some days ago, I got an information from direct source that these people gallivanting, causing problem everywhere in Akpo Kingdom, also went to meet with the Minister of FCT, Chief Barrister Nyeso Wike, to collect a huge amount of money. They came back here to Port Harcourt to come and disorganize the Simplified Movement here in Port Harcourt. Chief Ambassador Chijioke Ihunwo remains the executive chairman of Obiakpo, and the Akpo people will give him all the support needed for him to succeed. We'll have no any other choice than to support Chief Ambassador Chijioke Ihunwo.
Elsewhere, the Rivers State Labour Party chairman Hilda Dokubo has responded to calls for her suspension by some ward chairmen in Asari-Toro local government area, where Mrs. Dokubo told our correspondent that the party nullified the primary election that declared Charles Inkotaria the winner in Asari-Toro because it was not properly monitored by the state leadership and RISEC. She also said the original dates for the party's primaries on the 1st and 2nd August were disrupted in some councils by the End Bad Governance protests.
Charles forced what he called primaries, but no state official was present. 2, there was no RISEC supervisor. After the protest had come to an end, we fixed a proper primaries where you would have state and RISEC presence. And we invited LGAs that had not conducted, and it was going on smoothly until we got to Asari-Toro. I was sitting down there only as state presence.
But Mrs. Dokubo also accused Mr. Nkotaria of causing trouble despite not fully paying for the expression of interest form he bought. Recall that the Labour Party in Asari Toro had written to the National Working Committee and the South-South leadership of the party requesting the suspension of Mrs. Dokubo for alleged misconduct and irregularities in managing the party in Asari Toro. Passengers in various parts of the Port Harcourt metropolis were stranded for several hours today due to the sudden unavailability of commercial vehicles. Well, this situation, which happened during the morning rush hour, left many commuters frustrated as they struggled to find alternative means of transport to their various destinations. Our correspondent reports that the unavailability of commercial vehicles was due to a meeting convened by commercial drivers to deliberate on the possibility of increasing transportation fares in response to rising operational costs, including the hike in petrol prices and vehicle maintenance expenses. While the areas most affected include Ajib, Waterlines, Garrison and Iwofe. Still to come, Consumer Protection Agency issues ultimatum for traders to reduce exploitative price. Stay tuned. Thanks for staying with us, and now to the rest of the news. The University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital, UPTH, says no inpatients have been discharged due to the ongoing nationwide warning strike by resident doctors. Well, the strike is in response to the kidnapping of Dr. Ganiyat Bukwola, a registrar in the Department of Ophthalmology at the National Eye Center, Kaduna. Well, Dr. Bukwola has remained in captivity after she was kidnapped nearly 8 months ago, along with her husband and nephew, who were later released. Well, speaking with correspondent Martha Okere, the chairman, Medical Advisory Committee, UPTH, Datonyi Alasia, said the response protocol has been activated and other health workers are in place to care for patients.
Whenever there's such a disruption, we automatically implement it. So for now, we have just one group, which are the residents that are away, so the medical consultant staff are around. Other cadre healthcare workers are also around. So services are still running. And I'm sure that because it's a temporary strike action, but of course, the protocols are in place to ensure that services are still running. There's no policy to discharge patients. Those decisions are decisions that will be made by individual consultants, maybe in consultation with the residents, looking at the situation of the patients, those who can continue their care from home and all of that. But
Our correspondent reports that healthcare services have continued at the hospital. In the meantime, a professor of public health and epidemiology, Omosivie Maduka, has advised residents to avoid contact with animals that might carry mpox and to avoid eating undercooked or raw meat from potentially infected animals. Professor Maduka, the facility manager for the Infectious Disease Treatment Center, UPTH, spoke to correspondent Martha Okere.
If there are people who are ill around you, and you are not the primary caregiver, you do not necessarily need to be making physical contact. If you are someone who needs to care for people that are sick, use precautions. Hand washing with soap and water is very important, especially for those who are caring for others. If anyone feels ill or starts to see a suspicious blisters, rash on the skin, that person needs to come to a health facility and get quick.
Well, Professor Maduka also spoke on the differences between mpox, smallpox, chickenpox, and measles.
The chickenpox blisters from chickenpox are not as large. They're much smaller than that of mpox. Just like the measles rash is much smaller than that of chickenpox. They are all in the same family of pox disease, but there's some resemblance to chickenpox, but there's also resemblance to smallpox, and it's closer to smallpox in resemblance and in manifestation.
In other news, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has given traders and market stakeholders 1 month to lower their prices. FCCPC Executive Vice Chairman Tunji Bello announced this at a meeting in Abuja today. He added that the commission will start enforcing rules on pricing after the 1 month period. President Bola Tinubu has left Abuja for a working visit to China. The special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, said the president would stop over at the United Arab Emirates. Now, while in China, the president will meet with President Xi Jinping and hold meetings with Chinese business leaders on the sidelines of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. Away from that, Mary Uke Ashia is the winner of the first edition of Nigeria Info FM's I Beg to Differ Tournament of Champions, where Mary defeated Demilade Oluwalade in a fiercely contested final after 2 debate topics with 468 points, while Demilade finished with 439.5 points, where Mary took home the grand prize of 2 million naira and other gifts, while Demilade got 1 million naira and other gifts. Also, third place winner Adio Afolari was presented with his cash prize of 500,000 naira and other prizes. We'll go on another commercial break and the news continues afterwards. Stay tuned.
And now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
Japan has issued its highest level alert to more than 5 million people after the country was hit by one of its strongest typhoons in decades. At least 4 people have been killed and more than 90 others injured after Typhoon Shanshan made landfall in the country's southwest, where hundreds of thousands of people have been left without power. Well, that's the news, but before we go, let's take a look at the highlights. You heard that the NLC in Rivers State has suspended its protest after confirming that their national president, Joe Ajaero, has been released. And commuters in parts of Port Harcourt metropolis were stranded this morning amid sudden shortage of commercial vehicles. Mary Uke Ashia has emerged the winner of the first edition of Nigeria Info FM's national I Beg to Differ Tournament of Champions. And on the foreign scene, typhoon has killed 4 and injured 90 others as Japan raises its highest alert level. The news was edited by Onyeka Chinwosu. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I am Constance Mega. Thank you so much for listening. Good evening.